Good, so that face is shut, so we'll see like, and how TJ's doing this is primarily flexion of the wrist compared to extension of the wrist. If you just show extension, that face flashes open, flexion, face is shut. So now from here, if you stay in hip flexion and turn, he can square the face now because it was shut with the chest. What up, Tej?
What up, dude?
This is gonna be a good one, I think. Purpose of this video is managing releases, unloads, how we're unloading it. There's all these sexy little terms out there of like low rate of rotation in the club head or in the club face, which we for sure love. However, you don't see every single player on earth look that way.
No.
As a matter of fact, gals on the LPGA Tour on average have higher rates of rotation in the club face than guys on the PGA Tour. That's interesting because they play LPGA Tour golf. They're really good. They hit 80% of their fairways, which is much higher than the men, but they have higher rates of rotation. We equate higher rates of rotation as higher chance for catastrophic misses and missing it both left and right, blah, 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 blah. Jon Rahm at like exit, you'll see his face. I mean, it's darn near pointing towards the ground.
It is, yeah.
Fleetwood looks like this.
Yep.
Well, who's the better ball striker?
Well,
day in and day out.
they both strike it really well.
Exactly.
But probably Jon Rahm, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're looking at like overall, man, it's just an argument. Like, that's a fun like bar conversation.
Sure.
Right? Who hits it better? Well, he hits it farther. Blah, blah,
You can
blah,
agree
blah.
they both flush it.
They both hit it great. And you look at like how they exit and they're both different. Right? So the whole deal here is release is about matchups. And understanding, do I need more rate of rotation or more rotation in the club head through the strike, or would it be good for me to soften that out a little bit? It depends on every single athlete.
Okay.
Okay, now, what we'll typically see with a rate of rotation that's elevated. So let's see like that finish and that unload. You don't need to hit a shot here, just show like kind of through the ribs. So we're right there. So what you'll see is emblem stays away from TJ. We'll see the face close down quite a little bit. Like, why does that happen? Well, two main things to look at right off the bat. One, where's the golf club in delivery? So P5. Typically what we'll see is somebody that has the golf club more open in this position. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so this is what's interesting as well. Most of the time, players that have more open club faces at P5 hit draws.
Figure that one out.
Well, how are you going to close the club face?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to close it all the way with just chest rotation, right? I'm not really going to get...
Yeah, see, it's inappropriately too open because this is the main motor.
Right.
We got to share the motor now with the arms and the hand unit. So there we go. So a rapid rate of rotation through the strike, because I have it open, matches this area up. So this is going to slow down.
The chest is going to slow down.
If not stall.
While the arms take over for a second to help close the face down.
Exactly. And as soon as I get the arms going, I'm going to start to shoot energy out of the golf club. Like imagine if I filled the golf club up with water and put a little like soft cap on it. As soon as I stop this and I go with the arms, it shoots the energy out. Like I'd shoot the water out of it. Okay, so I get the energy in the club head going which direction now?
Down.
Downward. So I've got to stop and
extend.
There you go.
So if the club goes down, you've got to move up. Okay.
So, and you won't see anybody that just does this.
No.
They're just going to start actively rotating the pelvis. This will stall a bit. Now I can rotate the golf club. And we see that out of players that have usually less mass and are shorter. We'll see that type of release pattern because it's a really good way to get energy out of the system to be able to like hit the ball higher.
Right.
That's a good way to do that. And we'll tend to draw it. So like younger juniors.
Yeah.
This is a great way.
Yeah.
To learn how to golf because we got to have a ball that's tumbling. Like if you're going to get it out there efficiently.
Tumbling meaning like draw based, right? It's going to roll more.
Drawing, so it carries its optimum. When it hits, it rolls its optimum. That's optimum distance.
For like a younger junior. right?
Exactly. We also see that same type of pattern. We typically see really heavy rates of rotation for world long drive athletes.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's a great way to hit it far.
Ah, yes. So more distance that way. Okay.
Exactly. Now, DJ hits it a long ways. He didn't hit it nearly as far as world long drive guys.
No, but he's trying to play tournament golf at a very, very high level, where if we have some of these shots that really, really hurts him,
Yep.
where the long drive guy can afford to miss a few. here and
Exactly,
there.
because most guys would go, well, the argument would be, well, DJ hits it a long ways. Well, no kidding, he hits it a long ways. He's a PGA Tour player.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he can't be a PGA Tour player and blast it in the rough a whole lot.
No.
So his shut face
Yep.
pairs really well, and let's go all the way to delivery. Good, so that face is shut, so we'll see and how TJ's doing this is primarily flexion of the wrist compared to extension of the wrist. If you just show extension, that face flashes open, flexion, face is shut. So now from here, if you stay in hip flexion and turn, he can square the face now because it was shut
Yeah.
with the chest, which is interesting because most players that cut the golf ball
Shut it.
are shut at delivery.
And I think a lot of people watching this are gonna just realize that one thing and go, "Oh, I've been thinking about this all wrong."
Exactly.
Face open in delivery, I can
Yep.
draw it easier.
Mm-hmm.
Face shut in delivery,
Uh-huh.
I can cut it easier.
Yes, exactly. And I'm not saying do you hit draws and cuts based on where you're at in delivery?
Not necessarily. No.
Zero. I don't do that either. I don't think anybody that's worth a darn does that. Like, we're not saying that. It's just this is to match up what you're looking for.
Sure.
So, okay, how do I get this into delivery? And we're talking degrees here. We're not going like wide open or dead shut. Just small degrees of like I need a little bit more closure. I need a little bit more like softening here to open the face, dependent upon like how I want to work through here and dependent upon the ball flight.
Sure.
Okay, so again, reviewing, if we're seeing like heavier rate of rotation, we're probably seeing more vertical athletes, and we're seeing athletes that get the golf club in more of an open position at P5.
Right.
Okay, so if you're wanting to work into, again, do we have preferences?
Yes.
Of course we have preferences.
And our preference would mostly be the shut face rotators. Right?
Exactly. That is like the sexiest thing on earth.
Yeah, it really is. When I hit one and I look back at it on video and I finally see the face pointing back, I'm like, finally, let's go.
All juiced up.
Yep.
But look, like, one, we're golf coaches.
Sure.
So we're messing with stuff all the time.
All the time.
All the
Always
time.
tinkering.
So
right?
always tinkering. The other thing is just like, if you are going to master your golf swing, you better understand systems at a really, really high level.
Totally.
So if I want to move into low rate of rotation, what are the movements that I need to have? Where do I need the golf club organized in delivery? All of these things go into this, like really, really important. Okay, and like what we're doing actively with the hands and what we're doing passively with the hands is vitally important. Low rate of rotation is a passive response to good movement, and what we're doing in the arm system and the hand system way earlier than the hit. Okay, so let's go into P3.
Okay, P3.
Okay, so from here, what we'll see out of good movers, okay, or just not necessarily good movers, but like good golfers in general, is as the golf club's working up, we're going to see a change in direction with the body. So let's see here, this isn't our preference, but let's see a player that rotates the pelvis from here. Good. To go ahead and sequence this out, TJ's going to show shoulder extension to get the golf club deeper here, so the shaft is a lot taller. Okay, that's how we're going to organize. So we would see a little bit of like probably adduction into here and shoulder extension to get the golf club into kind of a hittable position with active pelvic rotation.
I see.
Okay.
So the forces are going.
Yes, exactly. And that's heavily overdone, but from there, like, go ahead and do that again. Boom. Now, if you kept turning the pelvis and now fired the arms, let's see how the golf club reacts and responds. We would see that. Okay. So juniors, and not all, But a lot of players, quite a few players in the LPGA Tour will see that. Shorter players, not as massive of people as well. So we're going to see that more than we're going to see on the PGA Tour.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go to 3.
Okay.
So that's heavier rates of rotation in the club face. Okay, now as the arms are going up, we're going to show pelvic drop. So hip flexion, good. And as this is happening as well, we want the club to get behind more. So we'll see this lead arm, ribs, all look to get the golf club in this position here, roughly. Okay, so the golf club's leveled out. So where are the forces going? So if we go back to 3, okay, here we go, you're in charge of drop. So the forces are going with the golf club. Now we need to understand what we're doing in here, in the wrists. The active release would be trail, wrist, supination. And it's supination because we have so much extension in this trail wrist, but the supination would make the golf club look like it just continues to seek the ground. See how the forces are going in the same direction here?
Yes.
Good, but I keep that extension. As you're supinating, turn the chest. There we go, so now we're getting ready to get into the strike. And from here, if you kept turning, eventually the energy washes out of the wrists and the passive release is extension, keep turning the chest, to flexion. Look at that face.
Dead square.
Yep. So, active release, once you get into 5, is supination with chest rotation. There's the active, the passive. Because there's energy stored in here and you're gonna keep turning the chest, there's the passive release here. Okay.
A lot going on there, but
A ton going on.
Yep.
But we've got to understand all of that.
Sure.
Like, how does that all work? Where
Yep.
am I putting forces? We need the forces to keep going behind me and down, because we'll see guys that get into 5 and then just screw it up because they're trying to square it in their old pattern and totally screw up the strike. But I'm in here, I need this to be the main engine, but if I shut this off, the golf club just stays high.
Oh, that's interesting. Right. So if I just turn,
It just stay level. See how this just stays level around TJ? So you'd miss the golf ball by 3 feet.
so
So
this
you gotta keep it going
supination
down.
helps you get it down.
There it is.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So let's see 2 patterns. Let's see, and this can be super slow, TJ. You don't need to go hard at it.
Sure.
But let's see a really low rate of rotation first,
Okay.
okay, in the face, because of how you're getting into 5, and then from 5, how am I going through here to here
All right.
to slow down the rate of rotation?
So low rate of rotation
Yep,
first.
you can show a little mocker first if you want. Boom, boom, there we go. And just pitchy out there, but you're just playing with matchups and movement. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, now let's see high rate of rotation. So we're gonna throw more active pelvic, and we're gonna let this go into more extension as this works by the chest. There we go. And now how would you unload it? There you go. And just a chippy one as well. There you go. Okay, now you've been working your butt off on one pattern for sure, but you're also big, strong, studly man. So lots of mass.
Sure.
So it's you can have a ton of transmission of energy through rotation and slow down the rate of rotation in the face. Okay, that's friggin' awesome. But you have close to 180 ball speed.
Sure.
Okay, well, the ball speed on the LPGA Tour is not even close to that. It's like 140, I believe. So the ball's just not in the air long enough. Plus, like, when I'm releasing it here, I'm getting energy out into the ball this way, boom.
Yeah.
I can launch it higher, I can draw it easier. You see that a ton on the LPGA Tour. Drivers of the golf ball on the LPGA Tour, typically draw
it.
pattern. Drivers on the PGA Tour,
Typically fade it.
there you go.
Yeah.
So you have to just understand what pattern is going to be best for you for a lot of different reasons. This is just release pattern.
Yeah.
We're not talking about health, because there's health consequences to each pattern as well.
Yeah.
And just understanding that for longevity is important. But we're also not seeing juniors get injured because, one, they're pliable, 2, they don't have as much mass, so we don't have as much energy in individual joint complexes
Right.
to create energy. If you do that in your Brooks Koepka, probably have a shelf life. You do this in your
Yeah.
Nelly Korda,
You're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She weighs 100 pounds.
Yep.
Right?
Totally. So you got to understand and identify where you're at and make the best choice according to the info that you have, right? That's
Yes.
why we give all this info so that you can understand and make the best informed decision, right?
That's exactly right. Okay, so just to reiterate here, just so that we're not just like grazing over this.
Sure.
Preference in our pattern, understanding our system better.
Yep.
Again, systems have bookends, so what we're looking to do is like knock people through this wall to understand like, oh, okay, I feel stuff now. Once you're in 5,
Yep.
which is drop primarily ribs to get the golf club leveled out back here, but you'll notice how that affects this lead arm, like it works away.
Yep.
You'll see a lot of space there. That helps to get the center of mass of the golf club down. There you go. And what TG is showing right there is continuing the forces here. That's active trail wrist supination
Okay.
to move it there. We're getting it going behind and down, keeping it going that direction.
Got it.
That matches with,
Shut face and chest rotation.
there you go. And so the passive release that you're gonna feel is that action there.
Yep.
So this whole like idea of like actively trying to move this way, it only works if we've got the other
Yeah.
parts of the system there.
Yeah, your body's got to be moving in the way that supports that. Otherwise, that's just going to feel crummy. It's
And
not
just to
gonna
go
feel right.
one step further, your body and the instrument.
And the instrument.
We're not like
Yeah.
throwing the dynamics here and then interrupting that ever.
So the whole system's got to support that action. If you
Yep.
got one piece of it, it just ain't going to feel right.
That's exactly right. So let's see one more here.
Okay.
So we understand how we're getting into 5, how you keep the forces of the golf club working in the same direction as you turn on it, and the release will just happen on its own. Whoosh, there it is. You can feel that too, huh?
Yeah. Can I flush this one?
Yeah, let's just flush one out. I like flushies, ones that just sound right. Oh. Like echoed. It's still hissing. Know the system to release it better. Educate your hands on how they support the golf club through the strike. Body supports everything as well. Flush them out, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir.